I have to share something with you. I had a bit tough parents. I don't want to say cruel, but in the sense that they were asking me to do things that I didn't want to. For example, to tidy up my room, to make my bed, like every day. Every Friday, I had to clean bathroom and toilets as well. And even sometimes take rubbish if my brother wasn't there, which I disagree with them. And when I disagree with them, I would have an argument with my mom, usually with my mom because she was mainly with us at home. And when I would disagree, she would disagree back with me, and we would have a bit of argument, and then I would be upset at her. And when this happened, usually my dad would come and say, Anna, you should go and apologize to your mom. And I hated that. And I hated doing that because I didn't feel like I should apologize to her or forgive her. So I would do it. But in my heart, I didn't apologize to her. And I didn't forgive her for making me doing all those horrible things. And I had to give some time, and it came naturally, the forgiveness for my mom. Suddenly, it was okay that she was asking me to do those things, to tidy up the room, to do my homework, because I kind of realized that in order to have a relationship with my mom, in order for her to still be my mom, I have to forgive her. I have to forgive her for forcing me to do all those things. And I love the story of Lazarus because as Maria was reading, it's a beautiful story, but it's the story of forgiveness because almost everyone is forgiving everyone in this story. And as we read this story, it shows us how honest relationship, it's so important. And we read in the text 3. So the sisters, so Mary and Martha, messaged Jesus. And they said, Lord, he whom you love is ill. And I love that. I love this a bit of manipulation that they think that they need to add to Jesus. You know, Jesus, I know that you are good and you are the Son of God and you love everyone, but there is this extra special person that you love a bit more than others. And if you didn't know, the person that you really love is ill. So if you are helping other people and they're all ill, remember that should be your priority because your loved one is ill. No pressure at all, just to let you know. And Jesus answered that this illness does not lead to death. Rather, it is for God's glory, so that the Son of God may be glorified through it. So when you read this story, you think, okay, so it will be another miracle. Someone got sick, and then God do the miracle, and everything is going to be okay. So Jesus is not really rushing to go to Martha and Mary and Lazarus and to help them out. He takes his time. But at some point, Jesus says to his disciple, our friend Lazarus has fallen asleep, but I am going there to awaken him. And I don't know why Jesus is never plain with his disciples. He knows that they have trouble understanding him. He knows that they know that he's Messiah, but they don't really get it. They always struggle with that. So when they heard that Lazarus is asleep, they are saying, well, if he's asleep, let him sleep. If you are sick, the sleep is good. You recover better and you will feel better. And Jesus gets a bit annoyed and he has to say plainly to them that Lazarus is dead and they have to go. But I'm not happy about that they have to go and be in this area because it's a dangerous area for them. And they are pretty right about that. So we have a bit of drama queen moment in that story with Thomas. My husband is Thomas, by the way, just saying. And Thomas says, "Let us also go that we may die with him." Jesus, if you really want us to go, we will go, but for sure we will die. And as bad as it sounds, it's honesty. And I love that about Tom, that even though he doesn't want to go and he's upset with Jesus and he's behaving like a stroppy little boy, he still says what he thinks. And I think for Jesus, this is more important that we are honest with him, that we are trying to be someone that we are not, that we are trying to hide, and we try to put this perfection in our life and say, this is who we are, but actually we are not. We are like this Thomas, and we have our meltdowns and we have our drama queen moments that nothing is good and everything doesn't work. And we just want to close the curtains and hide from the word. I don't know, maybe it's just me. Maybe you never experienced that. But Thomas and I, we for sure experienced that. So Jesus decides to go, and the disciples follow him in whatever mood they are. And then Martha came. And if you are reading this story for the first time and you just got here, Martha becomes straight away your hero because she gets it. And she says, "Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. But even now I know that God will give you whatever you ask of him." So at the beginning, she's a bit upset with Jesus. But she's still honest enough to say what she's feeling. So she's putting her grief and her disappointment with Jesus. And she's saying, if you've been here, he would be okay. If you were here on time, Jesus, as we ask you, he would be still alive. But I still believe. I still believe that you can do things. So in my mind, when I'm reading that, I think that she believes in resurrection because she says you can still do things. So Jesus answered her and say, "Your brother will rise again." It's like, yes, you got it right. I'm going to do what I came for. And then Martha says this, "I know that he will rise again in the resurrection on the last day." And then it's disappointment with Martha. It's like, no, she didn't get it. She doesn't believe. So why did she even say that? Maybe she said it that he will help her with her grief. Maybe that she still believes that he can help other people if he's there on time. But in this situation, she doesn't believe that there is anything that he can actually do for her brother. So then Jesus answered her again, and he said very plainly, and he said, "I am the resurrection and the life. Those who believe in me, even though they die, will live. And everyone who lives and believes in me will never die. Do you believe this?" And she kind of answered yes, but it's not, you're not sure if it's yes regarding this question. So she says, "Yes, Lord, I believe that you are the Messiah, the Son of God, the one coming into the world." So at this stage, we can think, well, Martha believes. Later on, she goes to Mary, and I don't know what she said, Mary, but Mary said the same sentence as Martha said to Jesus. "Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died." So I can imagine people talking. Maybe Martha and Mary, they were talking before and say, if Jesus was here, he wouldn't die. And then other people came and maybe heard that, or they told them, if Jesus was here, your brother would be alive. If Jesus was here. So Jesus gets upset because he can feel the sorrow of people and what they have to do and what they feel when the sin comes to our life. But Jesus says that, take away the stone that was on the tomb. And Martha comes again and she says this, Lord, already there is a stench because he has been dead 4 days. And you're like, Martha, just a few verses ago, you are my hero. You believed. But you don't really get it, what's happening. Because when he wants to actually do something for your brother, you said, no, don't even go inside. I know your limitation. Don't embarrass everyone here. It's really uncomfortable what you're doing. And then Jesus tells her this, did I not tell you that if you believe, you would see the glory of God? So in this story, everyone has to forgive everyone. So we have Jesus forgiving disciples for not believing in him, for explaining so much about who he is and what his ministry is about, but they still don't really get it. And then he has to forgive Thomas for not believing in him. And then Thomas needs to forgive Jesus for forcing him to go to a danger zone. Martha needs to forgive Jesus for not showing up on time. And Jesus needs to forgive Martha for not believing in him or in his power. Jesus has to forgive Mary. Mary needs to forgive Jesus. So the whole story is about forgiveness. But also in this story, I learned one more thing. That in our life, we have things happening for God's glory. And to be honest, I don't want to have those moments in my life. I don't want to have moments of God's glory in my life because they're uncomfortable and because they are hard. I am okay seeing in other people's life what God is doing. I am okay from learning from other people what they're going through. Maybe not me, maybe not my immediate family, but like further relatives that we don't really see and friends that we don't really see. And if something happened in their life, and I can see God's glory happening, that's okay because I can learn. I'm a good student. I am observant like that. But I don't want to go through that myself. I want to have a relationship with God. I want to get to know him, but I don't want to have God's glory in my life. Because as he said at the beginning, he said, this illness does not lead to death. Rather, it is for God's glory. And then he goes again and reminds Martha and says, did I not tell you that if you believe, you would see the glory of God? Maybe you already went through the episode of God's glory in your life. Something that you didn't expect it. Something that is tough. Something that you would push away and forget. Maybe something is still awaiting you and we can't even imagine what it's going to be. But God's glory will always happen in our life in order for us to have true relationship with him. But when God's glory happens in our life, we need to learn how to forgive him. Because Lazarus' story, it's about forgiveness, but it's about the forgiveness that had to happen in Martha's and Mary's heart. Because when they saw Jesus, and when Martha says this thing, Jesus, if you just been here, first I want to tell you what I think about you and your behavior, that you were late and he died. but I still believe in you. I still believe in who you are and how amazing you are. And sometimes things happen in our life that Jesus just is too late. And he's late 2 days, and he's late 2 months, and he's late years, and he doesn't show up. And we are upset because he promised he will be there. And we know that if he was there, those things wouldn't happen. But the things happen. And then there is the sorrow, and there's the grief, and there's this disappointment. And like myself, I had to forgive my mom to force me to do all those things in order for us to have a relationship. When I was ready for that, I have to forgive God. When things happen in my life that I can't explain and maybe are not fair, but I have to forgive him because of my own limitation, because I am not able to absorb and I'm not able to comprehend how amazing he is. And whatever is happening in my life, I will survive. I will come out of it. And don't get me wrong, there is absolutely nothing to forgive God. He has done nothing wrong to us. He's gracious and he's righteous and he's full of compassion. And we love because he first loved. But because of my limitations, sometimes I do get upset with him. And I don't understand. But I need to move on. And the disciples had to move on because they didn't understand Jesus. They were disappointing with him. He's supposed to be the king. He's supposed to be the Messiah. Putting them in the danger. I can understand Thomas and his frustration. How many times, Jesus, we have to suffer? How many times you are putting us in those situations? But they all had to say, okay, I have to move on because, like my mom, I forgave her because she loved me, she cared for me, she made me feel safe. And even though I wasn't on the same page with her regarding the house chores or school chores, I knew that she loves me. And this is the same with our God. He loves us. But sometimes we just don't understand him. And as he said to Martha, did I not tell you that if you believe, you would see the glory of God? Are we allowing some of the situations in our life to be so hard and blind us so much that coming out of that, we just feel anger because we are not able to see God's glory in what just happened? And we can take this situation and say, God, that's it. You took this away from me. You allowed this to happen. I can't love you anymore. And this happened only when our relationship with God is not true, when we don't know how to speak with him, when we sometimes don't behave like stroppy little children and showing a tantrum to him. And showing the disappointment and showing our love and gratitude, all those emotions and all those feelings are actually helping us to have a true relationship with him. And they all had it. And that's how our relationship with God should be, not perfect, but just raw emotion that we show him. And then he will help us to deal with us. He will help us that at some point we will have to move on and say, God, I might never understand why those things are happening or happen, but I love you. And I know that you love me. Jesus himself had to experience God's glory in his life. There's so many moments that he would just thank you God, but I don't have to show them the humiliation, the suffering that I have to go. They will be okay. But he had to go through it just because now we can look at his life and say, well, I can relate. This year, I went to Poland and we went to this little town with sisterhood. They have the women ministry there called Wisła. And this is a small town in the mountain and our main river Wisła starts there. So that's why the name of the town. And our church has beautiful church over there and like on-site building to sleep and to have like different retreats organized. And next to this building is a river. And this river is not that big. And it's pleasant and it's nice. You know, you could sit, dip your feet over there and just enjoy it. And so when we were staying there at night, it really got hot. So I opened the window in my room. And when I opened the window, suddenly the sound of the river was amazing. Suddenly, this little river became a powerful river. This quiet river became a river that I could not only hear it, but I could sense it. And this kind of sensation of being a little bit frightened, because you know how powerful it is. And during the day, you would never realize the strength and the power of these rivers. And I think the same is in our life. That God allowed those dark moments at night when it's quiet, when sometimes we feel lonely, when sometimes we are scared. But in those moments, we can hear his power. Because when things are okay, when life goes by and nothing major happen, we notice the river. We notice him by our side. Sometimes we read the Bible, we come to the church. It's pleasant. We dip our feet in it once a week, come to the church and enjoy it more. But at night, when you're alone, when it's a bit scary outside, when God allows those moments of glory happening in our life, then and then only we can see how powerful he is and what he can do in our life. And I don't know if you experienced that, but if you had, you have to share it with others and you have to tell others how amazing he is, because we all will go through those moments, because we can't have relationship with God without those moments of glory. So I wish that everyone who is graduating this summer, starting a new page journey, however we want to call it in their life, maybe it's your new job, maybe new wife, new husband, new children, whatever is happening in your life, that you will be able, that when those moments come in your life, to forgive God, because he is always forgiving us. Amen.